Real fast before we start, guys, I do want to mention a bunch of new video editing products just dropped on my website, MediaMonopoly.co. If you're interested, check out the link down below to save you time in your edits and create some really cool effects. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to build on my creating 3D pixel animations video. Got a lot of great response to that one. A lot of you guys were trying it out. I love seeing that. So I wanted to create a tutorial building on it while still keeping everything simple. So we're going to talk about characters, adding animations to your characters. I'm even going to show you guys how to record your own movements or even source movements like from a TikTok dance video and apply that movement onto your 3D characters. Super awesome stuff. We're going to talk more about world building in this, and we're going to talk about an improved pixelized look in Blender. I really think there's a lot of great opportunity with this. Here's some cool looking work from this guy, Brawler. So you can see some really cool 3D pixel animations, little breakdowns of how he's doing that. Of course, the pixel filter is optional. You guys don't have to pixelize everything. So we're gonna make one subway scene similar to this shot here, showing you guys how to put together some different scenes for your own personal projects. Another example here, Ocean World. Love this guy. I've talked about him a bunch on the channel. I wanted to show this because, again, you don't have to apply the pixel filter. You can create any little 3D music video with or without the pixels. It's up to you guys. I'll link his channel down below. Tons of really cool creative stuff. All right, so let's get started here, guys. First off, we need a character. Now, what I'm gonna do here is show you my little cheat code method for creating quick and easy characters. If you guys do want to create a character from scratch, you guys can either use the free template that I provided in my part 1 video. The link to all that will be in the description there. You guys can follow any of these awesome tutorials. There's tons of these on Blender showing you guys how to do some basic 3D modeling, how to create PS1 style graphics or whatever in a better fashion than I can. So I'll link those below. And of course, you could always just grab something for free off like Turbo Squid, CG Trader, if you want to just slap in a quick pre-made character and mess around with that. But what I want to show you here is this software. This is called Vroid Studio. You can pick this up for free. This is like an easy little anime cartoon character builder. There's a huge community that backs this, and you can seamlessly export these characters back into Blender with full facial control, fully rigged. So I think this is a very powerful tool you guys can be using if you want something quick and fast. I thought it was worth mentioning. So again, you can create your own character using those tutorials below. You can use Vroid, which I'm gonna take you through. And again, this is really awesome. You can download it, Steam, Windows, whatever. They have a giant community hub where you can download different models that people make, different assets. Let me show you how we can create a character here, bring it into Blender. So download Vroid Studio, create new, go with a male for this one. And there's really not much explanation needed here. It's kind of like your standard video game character creation. Just choose your sliders, face, got things you can change for the face here. You can change for the hairstyles on the left. Very, very easy. So I'm going to do a little time lapse, creating a character, and then I'll show you how to export that and bring it into Blender. All right, guys, so we're back, and you see how easy it is to create your own character from this. I hope you have fun with that method. And again, there's so many different preset things in there that you can mess around with. All you need to do is click on this little arrow in the top right and export it as a VRM. So let's go ahead and do that. Also, don't be worried if it freezes up a little bit here. It takes a while for this to pop up for some reason. Okay, here we go, 34,000 polygons. If you wanted to, you could reduce some of the polygons there. That should be fine for me. Let's just click export. And again, they have a big community thing here. I'm just gonna put different letters in here because I'm not planning on distributing this, and we'll export it. And now let's bring that back into Blender. So to bring it into Blender, you need to install two easy little add-ons. First is the VRM installer, and the second, Vroid Cat plugin. Not sure why it's called that. I'm gonna have the download link for both of those in the description. Once you've installed those zip files in Blender, go over to Edit, Preferences. In the Add-ons tab, go ahead and click on Install, and navigate to wherever you save those zip files. Click Install Add-on and make sure they are checked on. So now that you've done that, let's get started. To be able to import your character, you want to click N. That'll open up this little sidebar here. You can also click the little arrow if the shortcut isn't working. Navigate to this Cats plugin. From there, you can go ahead and just click Import Model and navigate to wherever you save that VRM from Vroid. So here's mine, tutorial, we'll import. All right, so let's go in here and check it out. Now, first off, to see our textures, we want to change to our render shading. So up in the top right, you see our textures are a tiny bit off. All you need to do to fix that is click Fix Model with this tab still open. And bam, just like that, just like how it looked in the software, it's now set up in Blender. So I'll take you through adding different logos onto our clothes if you want to do that. This is fully rigged, which is awesome. Not only is it fully rigged, but it also is rigged up with facial shape keys. If we go ahead and click on our face here, you want to click on this little green triangle, your object data properties with that selected. You see here under shape keys, you have all of these different facial shape keys, which is amazing. So if I was to take the slider, for example, sorrow, and just crank it to the right, you see how our facial expression can change like that. So what you can do with that is create simple little keyframes to have changing facial animation. Click on any of the expression that you want. Again, click the value, pull to the right to test it. So we'll go to 0, and I'm just going to set a keyframe. Let's make it go to angry. So right over here, you can see these 3 little dots next to your value, your min max. At your starting position, at 0, we'll click to make a keyframe. And let's drag maybe like 20 frames on our timeline. And we'll go ahead and take that value for the angry face and put it up to 1. Now, important here before we do anything, you see how this is orange? You always want to click the keyframe to lock it in. It should turn yellow. Make sure you do that, or you're not going to be able to actually see. To see this keyframe in your timeline, in the object menu in the top right, let's just click on this armature. We can even open that up and find the body here and select that. Now you can see the 2 keyframes that we made. You see how if I press play, face changes from neutral to angry. And you can of course change the timing. So if you want it to change faster, there you go. You just pull the keyframe in, and you can cycle through different facial expressions. So we can put that down to 0, set a keyframe. So you'll go back to basic and change it to this one. Make sure you click here, click to set your keyframe. And again, you want it to start. You want it to go from 0 to 1, so make sure you're always putting in the correct keyframes. Again, easy facial expression just by using VRoid Studio. If you scroll down here, you can also change specific things, so like eyebrows. You can close one eye or the other. So a really in-depth control here, and that's why I chose to show you this method, because again, there's so many tutorials showing you guys how to create things from scratch, which is amazing. But if you want something quick and something super set up and easy to use, I think this is great. So we talked about our facial animation. Let me show you how we can animate the body from scratch. And I will show you how we can apply custom animations. Like for example, you don't want to go through and hand make your person breakdancing or whatever. We'll show you how we can pull different animations, bring them into here. But if you do just want to do like a simple pose or like a walk cycle, what you want to do is select the armature. You want to change from object mode into pose mode. And from here, it's really easy. You can just click on any of these joints and use your basic transformation keys in Blender. So again, click R to rotate, and just like that, everything is set up and ready to go. So you guys can select your armature, come down here to your bone properties. You guys can set custom keyframes if you really wanted to do that. Or again, use the shortcuts and set your keyframe. Now, if you guys want some preset animations such as dancing, jumping, whatever, pretty simple. What I did here was actually just remove the armature here. So you see how if we open up the armature object, there's just this body. I just clicked Control-C, Control-V on body to paste it on its own so it has no armature. And then I just exported this as an FBX. Now, for some free animation, there's a website called Mixamo where you can upload that FBX you exported and apply any of these free movements. A lot of these are pretty stiff though. So if you want any custom movement or custom dances, I'm going to show you this awesome method for recording any movement that you make or even a video of any movement and apply it straight onto your character. I'm also going to link this video down below. This shows 30 different useful softwares for this VRM workflow that I'm showing you. A bunch of these talk about tracking. So if for any reason you don't have any of the essentials that I'm going to show you for my version, you can look through here for alternate methods. What I did was use this app on the App Store called TLDR. Now you are going to need an iPhone to do this method. So again, if you don't have an iPhone, I would check out that video I just talked about so you could find some alternate methods. But if you do, it's only going to cost $3 to be able to use this app and export out the motion. And it also links with that Vroid Studio. So if you want to, you can actually reopen Vroid Studio, go up to export, but this time export it to the Vroid Studio hub, and then just follow the prompts to be able to upload that file. And then in that app, once you pay $3 for the premium version, you can link to your Vroid Studio hub and import in your model as your test character. Optional, again, you don't need your exact character to be able to export any motion, but it will give you a nice preview so you can see what the motion is going to look like on your specific character. So important steps for using this app. Number one, make sure your phone is not on low power mode. For some reason, whenever I put my battery on low power mode, every time I use the app, it crashes after a few seconds. So make sure you go into your settings and just turn off low power mode if it is on. Second, you want to click that little premium star, pay $3 if you would like to export out your motion, which is what I'm going to be doing. And third, if you'd like, you can upload a custom background. To make things easier, I just saved an image of a green screen from Google Images and just uploaded that. So I have a green screen background. Again, that doesn't matter. Just personal preference. So now that we have our character ready, let's go ahead and source some motion. Again, you can just put your phone on a tripod or point it at yourself and act out the motion yourself. If you're ready to record, just click on that premium star again, scroll down to export motion data and select BVH. We can actually import that straight back into Blender later, so really easy. Once you click BVH, it's going to be recording. So again, act out whatever motion you want. Or what I did was I just looked up TikTok dance tutorial and literally just recorded my computer screen with my phone. And you can see how easily it was able to transfer that movement. It's actually very, very smooth. And if you want to, you can go into the settings, change around the smoothness of the animations, whatever. I just kept it at the default. I thought the results looked really cool. Super easy to get any motion capture you want. I haven't tested this method with characters that weren't Vroid, but I'm definitely going to try in the future. But anyways, now that you've recorded your motion, let's go ahead and bring that custom mocap back into Blender. So whenever you click stop for the motion record, it's going to save that file on your files folder on your iPhone. So go ahead and just go to your files app, click on TDPT. And what I did to get this file from my phone to my computer was just email it to myself. So just click share and then just email it to your own email. Went onto my email on my computer, downloaded that file that was attached. Now it's ready to go and be applied. So in Blender, we want to go to File, Import, and we want to import in that BVH motion capture that we emailed or Dropboxed ourselves from our phone. Now all we need to do is retarget our old armature onto our new motion capture. So let me show you how to easily do that. We're going to use this free Rococo Studio Live plugin. Just click on the link down below and download the Blender version for this Rococo Studio plugin. You're going to get a zip file installed just like we did for the add-ons for the VRM. So you don't even have to unzip this, just go back into Blender, go to Edit Preferences, Add-ons, Install, and find that zip folder. Now we have a new tab over on the right. Again, click N to be able to see that, and just scroll until you find the Rococo Studio tab. Now they want you to sign in here to use this. You can make a new account and use this 100% free. So just click Sign Up in Browser, type in whatever they want, you're ready to go. Probably took me like a minute to be able to do this, and it'll be worth it because this tool is super useful. So once you've made your account, you can go down to the retargeting tab here, and it's super easy. All you need to do is select the source, which is going to be that BVH we imported, and the target, which is going to be our old armature that we want to export over. So go ahead and click Build Bone List, and it's going to do its best to transfer everything. And for some reason, if any of the bones aren't perfectly transferred over, you may need to do it manually, but that's pretty easy. Either way, let's go and scroll down and just click Retarget Animation. Now, if we click play, you can see our motion capture is applied to our character. But you see an issue here. For some reason, it didn't target on the legs. So let me show you how we can manually target the legs in case we need to. Pretty simple. Just scroll up in that list and find whichever bones weren't correctly targeted. So for example, the leg. If you want to find the exact bone that you should be retargeting, you can click over from object mode to edit mode and literally just click on the bone that you need to replace the target for. Go back over to your bone properties on the right, and you can see the name of the bone that you've selected. So I'm going to put my left upper leg as my left leg bone, my left lower leg as my left knee bone, and my left foot as my left ankle bone. Again, click on the bone in edit mode if you need to see the exact name. And then I'll do the same with the right upper leg, and then I'll just click retarget animation again. Just like that, everything looks perfectly fine, and we now have this smooth, trendy TikTok dance straight from our iPhone right into Blender on our custom character. Really cool. Love this workflow because you're able to create some unique animations through the face, through the body in seconds compared to having to do everything from scratch, which could take hours. Alright, so our character is almost complete. I'm just going to show you some tiny customization for the textures or the clothes in case you are interested in adding tattoos or logos or whatever. So what we can do to customize this character, click on the character object and switch over to edit mode. Now what you can do is either select the polygons of the hoodie where you'd like to add a logo, or what I did was in the object data properties, they have these vertex groups already mapped out. So I just clicked on the chest here and clicked select to select those polygons. Then in the bottom left, I changed from my timeline over to my UV editor, and you can see what those UVs are looking like. I just clicked A to select all of those, and then in that little UV tab, exported out the UV layout. Now this is pretty much just a template. So what I did was open up that template in Photoshop, and you can see the exact sizing for if you'd like to place a logo in a specific area. So I just grabbed this YouTube logo off of Google Images, and I just placed it on where the chest would be here. And then I put in some basic text. So make sure you guys hide the hoodie UV layer, all those wireframe mesh looking things, and then go up to File and export it as a PNG. All right, so back in Blender, I'm gonna change from my UV editor here over to my shader editor. And we still have that vertex group selected. We can see all the textures from Vroid Studio set up here. Looks like a bunch of craziness. We don't need to mess with a bunch of that. It's just all your toon shaders that they optimize for you. All we need to do to add in our logo is open up that main texture group at the very top. We're gonna go ahead and click Shift A, and we're gonna add in a mix RGB node. Next, we're gonna click Shift A again, and we're gonna add in an image texture node. On that image texture node, just go ahead and click Open and find the PNG that you saved from Photoshop or whatever image editor you guys are using. We'll go ahead and take the color for that image texture node and connect it to color 2 for our mix RGB. And then we'll take the main texture that we opened up earlier, and we'll connect the color from that onto our color 1 for our mix RGB. Then we'll just connect the top right color for our mix RGB node onto main texture node on the right. Pretty easy. For any reason your logo is stretched like this, what you can easily do is switch back over to the UV editor. In the little image dropdown, just find that hoodie graphic image and select it, and then go into edit mode, select the polygons where that logo is. You can click S to scale it down or G to move it around in the UV editor to try and reposition it a bit better. So there we go, easy logo added onto the hoodie. So our character is complete. Let's now build the setting. So I'm going to, again, use this free little model here that I found on Sketchfab, this nice little train carriage here, and I'm going to show you how to customize it. So this one is a free download. I'll leave the link down below. And this was actually a Blender project file. So I'm going to open up that project file, select everything, and just export it as a FBX. And then back in my other project file, import back in that FBX so we can combine the two. Now, because there's a ton of different objects for this train, what I'm gonna do is just click Shift A and create an empty null object here. I'm gonna rename that to train control. And then I'm going to Shift click to select all of the objects, and then control click the train control last so it's selected. And then again in object mode, we can click Control P to set the parent to that object. So now we have one train control object which we can transform around, and if you open that up you can see all the individual parts. So if we want to transform it, you can click on train control, you can click G, move it around, you can click S, scale it, and do whatever. I also deleted some of these specific handrails. I just went into edit mode, click select link so that I could delete the specific ones in the middle. All right, so now let's add some light into our scene. I'm gonna click Shift A again, and I'm going to add in an area light. And I'm just gonna click G to position that area light in this top area of the train where those two bright textures already are. And then I can use those different controls on the left to rotate and scale them to my liking. I'll click Control C, Control V on that area light to duplicate it, just move it over to the left. We now have two lights. You can also click on those lights, go down to your light properties, change the power, change the color if you'd like. But for now, that looks good. Let's also add in our camera here. So I'm going to click Shift A and add a camera this time. And then in the object data properties for my camera, I'm just going to position it where I'd like in the scene. Make sure you click on the little camera icon dot if you would like to check out what the camera view looks like, and then just scale that to your liking. Also in the camera settings, you can mess with your focal length. You can add depth of field if you really like. I added a tiny bit of depth of field just because I'm going for more of like a hybrid realism slash retro pixel look. Sometimes your motion capture isn't going to be on the same level plane as your scene. So instead of doing a full track to copy and paste the motion, I just added in some custom keyframes. So I selected the armature and the objects to the right. And anytime I just needed the feet to collide more with the ground, I just went into the object data properties and moved it down a tiny bit so that it was touching the ground. Not the best method, but it works fine for me, especially when we go in and add the handheld camera motion to try and cover it all up. Now, to make our camera movement look a bit more natural, what I did was select the camera, go to my object data properties, and then I created a little keyframe so that I could have a simple little zoom in. To make this look a bit more natural, what you can do is actually select those keyframes just by clicking A, and then you can change from your timeline to your graph editor. To find our keyframes, use that little scroll wheel on the right and just keep scrolling until you can find wherever the keyframes are. What you want to do is click V and then set the keyframes to vector. Scroll down until you find that green vector line. Now what you can do is open up the object transformation on the left and you can see your X rotation, Y rotation, your Z rotation. We're going to click on the X rotation first and just scroll again until you find that red line. So with that selected, you want to click N. It'll open up this little menu on the right. Go over to modifiers and we're going to click add modifier and add in a noise. So if you scroll with the noise, you can see a bunch of shakiness for your X rotation. Change around any of these settings to make that shakiness on that X axis more smooth. So I'm just going to scale everything up and I'm going to change around the strength, and you can see how that changes the noise graph and makes everything a bit more subtle. So again, depending on your scene, change around those settings until you have some nice natural handheld motion. You can do the exact same thing with your Z axis rotation. So just click on that one, scroll down until you find the blue line and do the exact same thing. You click N, add in a noise modifier, and then you change your settings to tailor it to your liking. So our camera is almost complete. The last thing I'm going to do is just add some custom little zooms. So back in my normal timeline view here, what I'm going to do is select the camera. In my camera settings, I'm just going to create keyframes for the focal length. And you can actually keyframe the Shift X and Y as well. So if you'd like to zoom on a specific thing or at a specific time, again, just create some little keyframes, change around your focal length so you can zoom in, and then shift the X and Y to put in focus whatever you want the camera to be pointing at. Extremely easy. And now we have a dynamic camera, super essential step for these dance-like videos or for a music video with a lot of energy. All right, now let's start changing around the design of our subway train. So pretty simple. You can just click in object mode on whatever part you'd like to change the color of. Once you've selected it, just go down to your material properties. It should already have a material assigned. Just scroll down to the base color and change the color to whatever you'd like. So I went for more of this kind of like YouTube theme with the red and white, and then repeat those steps for all the other parts so that you can get the nice color scheme that you want. Now, one last little design tip here. If you guys go to edit and preferences, make sure you have images as planes checked on. Once you've done that, you can just click Shift A in object mode and you can import in an image. From here, you can go to Google Images and just find any PNG or create any design in Photoshop or whatever. You can position these little PNG decals onto any parts of your train. I just put some subscribe buttons onto there to make sure your PNG truly has a transparent background. Some of these ones didn't, they had this pattern. To finish my animation off, I wanted to add a bit more lighting to make the train scene a lot more realistic. So first off, let's go to our render settings here. And you can see some of these things that I've turned on. For example, if you check on bloom, it's going to make your lights look a lot better. Basically, you can't even really see the light unless you have that checked on. So check on bloom, change around your threshold to get a nice glow. You can also turn on screen space reflections if you want your specular or glossy materials to reflect a lot more of the light. So if you are going for something a little bit more realistic, you might want to check on that. And then I just added a tiny bit of motion blur. And you can't see this until you render. And again, I didn't overdo it. I put it at 0.2. I think the default is 0.5. Of course, render engine Eevee. You can do cycles, but it'll take a lot longer. And then we'll go back to this and talk about different filters once we talk about the pixel look. What I did to finish off the lighting is I actually added a little light animation of some lights passing by the train. So I click Shift A and I added in another little area light. And then I just positioned this area light so that it was sort of pointing at our train car. And then what I did was position the lights and duplicate it a bunch of times. So That selected, Control C, Control V, move it over a bit, Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V. So you can choose how many you want, but essentially we just have this sort of lineup of area lights. I'm just going to use auto keying here, so we'll scroll to the beginning of my timeline. I'll click this little auto keying button. I'll scroll a bit, and I'll just move them past my train. And if for some reason it doesn't set your beginning keyframe, just grab those and set it back here. So we have a keyframe going from this position to the last position. And what you'll see from that is this light sort of passing through the train. Looks really cool, and it really gives you that train passing through a tunnel reflections. You can also mess with the windows here, change around your glass material in case you want that to sort of pass through a bit better. And then another tip here, if you actually bring this animation closer, so we'll delete these keyframes and we'll bring these lights like really close to our character, or even make it pass from inside the train. You can see if I get it close, there, the toon shading on our character starts to kick in. So you can have some different toon lighting on your character. Again, these are toon textures. If you want to change the color of that toon shading here, you can select your character, again, go down to your material properties, and then up here is the list of all the textures that are applied. So let's go to maybe the top, our hoodie here, scroll down, and all the way down here, shade color. If we change that, you see how it changes to whatever shading color we want. So you could repeat those steps by selecting all the different ones, and you can get some cool custom toon shading on your character there. If you don't like how much this is being washed out, just make sure you play around with the power on your area lights. All right, guys, so let's render this all out and bring it into After Effects for our post work. So first off, I want to show you the improved pixel look. I do want to say this is optional. If you are going for more of like the retro N64 style, you're going to want to create a custom character for the best retro look. This character is like 22,000 polygons. You want to use something that's between like 200 to 1800 polygons. So you can see the difference between my animation and the exact same animation, but with a T-pose of like a old Link character, where you can see the textures are smaller and you have that kind of older looking retro. Same with the textures for the environment. You want to have smaller textures. And again, all the links in the description will show you exactly how to do that from scratch. So if you truly want that retro video game style, you can use this pixel filter, but it really does come down to hand making the characters and hand designing everything in that retro style. So pop over to your compositing tab, and this is really all you have to do here. And shout out to Brawler. He has a YouTube channel. I showed his Instagram at the beginning with all those pixel pixel animations he made. He had a tutorial for this. I thought the pixel look was better than my first one, so I'm gonna link his channel down below because he has a ton of really awesome pixel dithering tutorials if you guys are really interested in that retro look. But either way, to do this, what you want to do is check on use nodes. So to be able to replicate that, you want to click Shift A. You want to add in a scale node. You want to duplicate that scale node. So Control C, Control V, and have it connect like this. And then in between these scale nodes, you want to place a pixelate node. So Shift A, search for pixelate, and then connect the scale nodes to the pixelate. So pretty simple. For our scale here, what you want to do is set your X and Y to something like 0.25, 0.25. And then on the second scale, you want to put this to something like 4 and 4. Now when we click render and render image, you can now see that pixelation going on. Here's a better example where there's no motion blur. To add in that quick pixel, if we go back to our render settings here, we go down to film. You can check on transparent if there's anything in the background. You want to take your filter size. You want to put that down to 0.01 so you have that fine edge on everything. You can also increase the amount of pixelation or decrease it if you'd like, just by going back to compositing. You can maybe change this to 0.5 and then change this to 2 instead of 4. And you can see you have a lot more subtle of a pixel filter on the edges. It's really up to you guys on whatever look you like. I think this actually looks pretty nice. So when you're ready to render out your final animation, go to our output properties here, and frame start and frame end. That really just depends on the part of the animation that you use. You can change your start and end here whenever you set up your initial animation just to pick the nicest spot. And then for output here, what I like to do is go with a TIFF sequence, RGB plus alpha, and then just click this button here and then create a new folder for your animation. So I'll name this like tutorial render 2, select that folder, accept, and then whenever you go up to render and render animation, we'll render out this full animation into that folder that you just specified. Once your animation has finished rendering from Blender in After Effects, we can just create a new composition here. Right click in your project bin, import multiple files, and then just navigate to the folder that you specified from Blender. Click on the first one, TIFF sequence, import as footage, click import, okay, and then done. Now you have your entire animation here as a video clip in After Effects that you can color grade, color correct, add any effects. You can use that dynamic link to bring this into Premiere and color grade if you want to do that. And of course, if you are looking for any cool preset animations to style these, especially if you're making those dance videos, like I showed you at the very beginning, I have that Speed Demon 2 transition pack that just dropped on my website for Adobe Premiere. So if you guys did enjoy, slap a like on the video, comment down below what you'd like to see next. If you want to see more 3D music video animation tutorials, definitely down to do that. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting, and I'll see you guys in the next one.